The high-stakes meeting in San Francisco has come to an end. U.S. President Joe Biden welcomed Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Filoli estate. The two sat down and talked for about 4 hours. But what followed was a sour ending, to say the least. President Joe Biden called Xi Jinping a dictator. That's right, that's what he called the Chinese leader after meeting him. You have to listen to this.
And Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
Just when we thought bromance was brewing between Biden and Xi, the American president went ahead and called him a dictator once again. And by doing that, Biden has attracted criticism from China, of course. Listen now to what the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson had to say.
This kind of statement is extremely incorrect and irresponsible political manipulation, which China resolutely opposes. It needs to be pointed out that there are always some ill-intentioned individuals attempting to sow discord and damage US-China relations, but their attempts will not succeed.
And despite this, both the sides have portrayed the meeting as largely successful. President Biden says it was one of the most constructive and productive discussions that the leaders have ever had. Xi Jinping came to the US seeking respect, and he got exactly that. President Biden struck a warm, welcoming tone. The two were seen strolling through a garden and chatting away. From what analysts say, Xi Jinping wants to be seen as Biden's equal. In fact, he called the US-China relationship the most important bilateral relationship in the world. Listen in.
Last time we met in Bali, you said it was a year and a day ago. A lot has happened since then. The China-US relationship, which is the most important bilateral relationship in the world, should be perceived and envisioned in a broad context of the accelerating global transformations unseen in a century. Mr. President, you and I, we are at the helm of China-US relations. We shoulder heavy responsibilities for the two peoples, for the world, and for history.
So for all this talking, what exactly came out of the meeting? As the US intended, it has managed to restore military-to-military communication with China. The US and China will open a presidential hotline. President Biden saying he and Xi Jinping have agreed to pick up the phone and talk during periods of disagreement. One of the sticking points between Xi and Biden was Taiwan, of course. Xi Jinping himself acknowledged that Taiwan is the biggest, most dangerous issue in US-China ties. Biden stressed on peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, while Xi Jinping assured Biden that China had no plans for military action against Taiwan for the coming years at least. He also hinted at certain conditions when force could be used. The two leaders also discussed the increasing menace of fentanyl. They have agreed to work together and curb its production. China has pledged to target companies involved with fentanyl, and the US plans to monitor these efforts. And other than that, Xi and Biden talked about West Asia. What's happening in Israel? Biden also sought China's help to de-escalate the tensions with Iran, to which the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi confirmed talks with Iran were ongoing. As the American and Chinese leaders sat and talked, we made a rather interesting observation. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken appeared particularly tense. While President Biden talked, Blinken looked visibly stressed. It almost seemed nervous. He almost seemed nervous of President Biden making an off-putting remark. And after the meeting, Xi Jinping dined with American business leaders. There he said, and I'm quoting, "The door of China-US relations cannot be closed again now that it's open. We need to build more bridges and pave more roads between each other." Needless to say, the dinner was lavish, with each plate costing some $2,000. It was organized by two American firms that do business with China, but they are now being blasted by some US House lawmakers. Why is that? Because the companies sold tickets to business tycoons to attend this feast. So how much does a dinner with Xi Jinping cost? No less than $40,000, roughly the price of a new car. With that amount, American businessmen were able to get direct access to the Chinese president. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.